G'day,
We're
Rex.
on.
We're here, we're live. Welcome to WorkSpaces. And Rex, look, it's been 2 weeks into 2021. How are your New Year's resolutions going?
Good. I've actually added some health New Year's resolutions, which is, doing this remote stuff tends to be back to back to back. So
Right.
one of them is that after every session, I have to walk out of my office, go downstairs to the kitchen, get a glass of water, adjust my desk. Those little micro adjustments throughout the day, it's called non-exercise activity. NASA developed it to counterbalance the effect on the body of weightlessness. And we're going to have to adopt things like that in our strategy if we hope to survive this.
Well, look, I'm really glad you brought that up, Rex, because there's a lot of advantages to working remotely, both from an employee perspective and also a company perspective, and really real savings for companies as well. I mean, I think Global Workplace Analytics reports that as much as $11,000 can be saved per year per part-time telecommuting employee, which equates to around $700 billion in annual savings nationally. So, there's a lot of benefits there for the employee and the company. But can you just talk to us? What is the toll of that on us, and what are employees going to be expecting and needing from their companies as we move further into this?
Yeah, it's that companies are doing a great job in the logistical side, but we're really just beginning to learn the physical health and the mental health side. So Jason, right now, our brains, it takes about 50% of our body's calories to function in this virtual environment, whereas normal work, it's about 20 to 30%. We've calculated an equivalency, a work equivalency of adding an hour to the day of your work for every hour you're online. So I did a survey with a group I was with yesterday, and somebody said because they're doing international work, they're doing 12 hours of work, but up to 10 plus hours in virtual environment. That means they're working 22 hours equivalency on your body. I did a 4-hour workshop for a company. I measure using the Oura Ring. It's a great tracker, and the Whoop strap. We do a lot of personal performance coaching. And so we've added strain and stress to that coaching. I burned 3,200 calories, and the toll on my body was the equivalent of a 35.6 mile walk. So those 45% of companies that you listed said they've got a great strategy. I'm not sure they've taken this piece into their equation, because we have a real sustainability question, human sustainability question, that we just don't know enough yet to know the toll. The rhythm is different. In the workplace, there was decompression time between meetings, commuting. It's not unusual to be in back-to-back virtual meetings with no break at all. So we need to learn the new rhythms, the new habits and disciplines, and managers need to add that to their managing, not just task management, but almost like a performance coach or a personal coach. Are you getting sleep? Are you hydrating? Are you moving throughout the day? What do we need to do to support you? So those are some of the new questions I think we all need to take consideration of that I haven't seen really addressed yet by many companies.
Right. Yeah. And I like, you touched on a few things there, and obviously the how taxing all of this is on us is something we're yet to really find out. So we're going to be talking about how real estate strategy needs to be retooled moving into this year, and what other tools need to be in place there to accommodate for this. But you touched on management there. So what do companies really need to be doing there to retrain their management and think about their management in a different way so there can be support for the employees?
Well, Gallup says that about 18% of managers are naturally wired to be tuned in to those human needs. And so they just need some guidelines, some framework, and training. But that means that 82% of people are not. They're more task oriented. So they will either need to have there will need to be a new role to help them as a liaison to supplement their management, almost like a personal check-in coach. We've got a couple companies doing that. They found someone who's naturally wired to stay in touch with people and to pick up on needs. And one of the challenges that we're going to find is that people aren't necessarily going to let you know their needs because they don't want to appear to be struggling or to be needy. Everybody has a little bit of fear of the future. Are they going to keep a job? How they're going to keep a job? So creating psychological safety through this environment is part of the new training.
Okay, really interesting stuff. And interesting that you say that not many companies are really getting that right at the moment. I want to come back to that in a second, but with regards to the physical space and the kind of environments that workers are going to be entering into once we really kick into this, what needs to happen there? What do companies really need to be focusing on in terms of what they provide for employees when they get to the office?
Well, it's very similar to the office. You need a place where you can do focus work. You need a place where you can take a break. And so surveying individuals to find out what their needs are, what they currently have, and then also benchmarking employees that seem to have created very conducive environments. They have sit to stand maybe, they've got improved, we're all going to have to up our game in this virtual world. We're not going to be able to have fuzzy cameras and shadows and scratchy sound and improper, bad broadband connection. It doesn't have to look like my studio. That's because I do this for a living. And that was the first choice we made. But it's not going to be acceptable because the experience that we have online is only as good as the lowest quality system in that discussion. And you're kind of held captive to that. So those are some of the needs we're going to have to look at.
Okay, and you mentioned just before that you're not seeing enough happening right now. So what's the extent of that? How bad is it in terms of companies being prepared for this future, do you think? And then what do they need to start doing right now?
Jason, you said it at the very beginning. Nobody really knows. I've got companies that they have no idea. They've got one company has 4 million square feet in just one market alone sitting idle. And they don't know whether to get out of those leases and build for the future or stick with those leases. They don't know if they're going to come back in June. They don't know what the vaccine's going to do. So it almost has to be a experiment and test. Coming back to the workplace, nobody that I've worked with or talked to has a really clear criteria on who should come back and if they're ready to come back. So again, this is another survey to help employees make that decision by giving them information on how to assess their risk. Are you teaching kids at home? Do you have an elder family member who needs care? Are you more flexible? All of those things, and equipping people instead of companies trying to figure it out. We need to put lots of little groups, pods of employees that are in the middle of it to start learning as we go. Test and learn, test and learn, test and learn, instead of trying to project grand scale plans 6 months down the road that you have to set aside. That's the worst. And we've seen that. We're coming back last September. Now we're not. We're going to come back first of the year. Now we're not. We're going to come back June. Now we're not. That creates lots of instability and insecurity in the workforce.
Yeah, it's definitely a process that is going to require a lot of experimentation, Rex. And I'm going to kick on to our next guest just shortly. We haven't got much time to speak with everybody, but thank you for your insights. And just lastly, I want to ask you, obviously this what we're going through right now is awful on many levels. But if anything, we've learned in history, crises have often given us an opportunity to create innovation and just completely rethink how we do things too. So, I mean, where's the opportunity here for companies? What should they be thinking of, and how should they be thinking about the nature of work in general? And what's the really big opportunity here to really redo things differently?
Well, I think the big opportunity is that we got off the treadmill. We were already on an unsustainable health and well-being treadmill in the old work environment. Now we can stop, rethink, what is it that I want to bring back? What is it that I don't want to do anymore? And begin to redesign a more human approach to work. And I think that's the big opportunity. We're off the treadmill, and we have no excuse to rethink about how to create healthy, happy work environments as we go forward.
Thank you, Rex. And I just have a late question in here from Sarah Anderson, who's from Genentech, and she asks, how do you balance the equation of employee care and taking care of the business? If you could just answer that quickly.
Well, that's a great question. And I think the lessons that we've learned in the past is that employee care does take care of the business. A happy and engaged employee is the best asset you have. And 70% of employees were unengaged or disengaged pre-pandemic. I'm not sure what the numbers are now. I don't think anybody knows. But caring for your most important, valuable asset is really a business strategy. And there's a lot of companies that do it well. There are the Container Stores of the world. There's the Barry Waymillers. There's the Harley Davidsons. There's the company in Columbus, Indiana, Cummins. There's lots of companies who do both. And I don't think it's an either or choice.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rex. We really love talking to you every time we're having you on at WorkSpaces. And your new book is Strategy in Rebuilding. There it is. There
it is. Right.
You put the real book right there. Oh, perfect. Principles for Building Post-Traumatic Growth, which you've been working on with Jeff Jernigan. And check it out if you haven't, everyone out there that's watching. Rex has really generously also given an offer for our audience of WorkSpaces. We're going to put it in the chat details there. If you head to his website and you plug in that code that we'll provide in the chat, you get 50% off any of Rex's products. Thank you for that, Rex.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
Take care.